Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. With season 4 of Stranger Things coming to a close, I'm going to rank every season of Stranger Things from the weakest to the best in my opinion. Now, if you've seen my season 4 review, you know that I'm a pretty big Stranger Things fan. This is one of my favorite shows of all time, and I really enjoy all the seasons. So before I share my ranking of all 4 of the seasons, let me know down in the comments, how would you rank every season of Stranger Things? What is the weakest, what is the best, and where does season 4 rank among all the other seasons? I'd love to know your thoughts. With that said, I'm going to get started. At last place for me is going to be season 2. Now, I don't think this is a bad season. I actually think this is a really enjoyable season. And on rewatching it, leading up to volume 2, I actually really enjoyed this season. And I think there's a lot of things about it that actually work quite well. I love the way it continues off of season 1, the way everyone is just going through a lot of stuff. They have PTSD, they have a lot of trauma. And because of that, the characters are actually really like sad, and I love that about it. And when you're watching that, it's just you care about the characters, so you're really invested throughout the whole show, which I think is really fun. Now, because of that, it's not as fun as all the other seasons, but I can get over that because of how much I really care about these characters, and you want to see them get better. So I really enjoy that this season because of that. Likewise, the stakes and the threat here is much bigger than in season 1. So as you go into the final few episodes, aside from the Lost Sister episode, that one is pretty bad. But when you get to the final few episodes, the stakes are really high. They're really tense. And the finale, I think, might even be better than season 1's finale. So I think throughout the whole show, that works extremely well. And I also really enjoyed some of the groupings here. Obviously, you have Steve and Dustin, which is just an iconic duo at this point. Watching both of them together this season is incredible. And obviously, by the end of the show, when you get to season 3, season 4, it is still one of the best duos of the entire show. I would say the best, maybe. I really, really enjoyed their relationship. And Steve, just in general, is just a much better character this season. Because in season 1, he was kind of a douchebag. But when you get here, he's actually a good character. He's a good person. And you see that everything that happened in season 1, he regrets all of that. And I love that about Steve's character. We also have some really good new characters like Billy and Max. And both of them obviously have much more important roles in the future seasons. And then we have Bob Newby, who is just such a likable character, but obviously he doesn't have a very good fate by the time this season ends. But really, I think this season does a lot of things really well. What really holds this one back for me is everything going on with 11. While everything's happening in Hawkins, everything, all the stuff that we actually care about, we keep cutting to this plotline with 11 where she's looking for her mom, and in the first few episodes, it just doesn't work. And eventually, we get to this episode, The Lost Sister, where she finds her sister and everything. It just doesn't make any sense. They feel like they're planning a spin-off, but it never happens, and it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me, and the whole show, out of the entire show from season 1 to season 4, that is easily the worst episode and the worst plotline this show has ever done. Now, I think the rest of the season is great, which is why I don't hate this season, which is why I don't dislike this season. That's the only thing holding it back from honestly being in the top 3. But other than that, I think this season is probably just as good as season 1 was. Kicking off my top 3 is going to be season 3. Now, I think this season puts the fun back into Stranger Things because season 2 was a little dark, was a little bleak. But this season, everything is just a lot more fun. Everything is amped up. And because of that, I think this is one of the most fun seasons of television I've ever seen, and easily the most fun season of Stranger Things. The first few episodes is just catching up with the characters, seeing them have a ton of fun. We also obviously have the Starcourt Mall, which is a really good place. Honestly, every time the characters go there, it's just a ton of fun to watch this. And there's a lot of nostalgia bait in this season as well. And I think it's actually done extremely well. I also love the reference to the Terminator with the Russian dude that is hunting Hopper. I actually love that reference. And throughout the whole series, whenever he shows up, it's just a ton of fun to watch. And there's some great action with him as well. So I really enjoy that. I also love that the characters this season, unlike last season, they're actually having a ton of fun. Will is not. Will is still a little depressed and stuff, and he does feel a little off pretty much every season. But I think all the other characters, the way they're having a ton of fun is really enjoyable. And I think this season also has a great duo with Max and Eleven. So whenever they're together, it's a ton of fun to see. This season, everything is also, like I said, really amped up, and it's just really cheesy at times. So it's really cranked up to 11, pun intended. So we have a huge spider monster that's made of human flesh. And in the finale, it just shows up to attack our heroes, which is just a ton of fun to see. And we have Russians in an underground base, which, like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's actually a ton of fun to watch when you're watching the season. So I really enjoy that about it. And I think the finale for this season is easily the best finale of the entire show, and just one of the best finales I've ever seen. It's just really satisfying. And if the show ended at this point, it honestly would have made sense because of the way everything played out. I think this could have been the season series finale if it ended here, but they decided to continue it, and I'm glad they decided to continue it. Now, why do I think it's not top two? Why do I not like it as much as season 1 or season 4? That's because I don't really love the first few episodes that much. Now, like I said, the first few episodes is just all the characters having a ton of fun, and the first time I saw it, it is pretty enjoyable, and I actually thought this was the best season for a very long time, but when I rewatched it leading up to volume 2 of season 4, I didn't like it as much because the first few episodes, pretty much the first half, is just not that great. Now, I think everything after that gets much better, but in the first few episodes, because the story doesn't move forward, because it's just characters having a ton of fun, as enjoyable as that is to watch, on rewatch, it just doesn't hold up. So because of that, as good as the second half of the season is, and even though I think the finale, even after season 4, is still the best finale of the show, I don't think that this season is as good as season 1 or season 4. But overall, it's still a great season, and by the end, it just delivers on everything you'd expect from Stranger Things. Runner-up is season 1, and this season to me is just a great start to this show. And in my opinion, this is a perfect season. There's nothing wrong with season 1. Everything it does is just incredible. There's a lot of great world building here. You have pretty much the simple story about a kid getting kidnapped, and because of that, everything is much simpler. There's not a lot of complicated things going on like there are in the future seasons. Here, it's just a simple story of a cop and a bunch of kids finding this kid that got kidnapped, pretty much. And because of that, it's much more simpler, and you have a lot of time to spend with these characters that you really start liking. I think all the kids are really fun because they're actually they really feel like kids, and they're immature. So whenever we're around them, they're just a ton of fun to watch. All the grown-up characters are really good, especially Joyce. And I think Joyce in this season is actually really great. And in the future seasons, she isn't as great. I think just in this season, Winona Ryder just gives an incredible performance. And we have other characters like Steve and Hopper that are just really great. You have Hopper, who just feels like a random cop that you'd see in other movies. But here, he actually gets a backstory of why he is the way he is. So I love Hopper in this season. And Steve, obviously, starts off as a douchebag, but eventually, by the end of the season, you realize, even though he does bad things, he's not an actual bad person. And I love that about Steve. And now he's one of my favorite characters on this show. By the time the season ends, it's also just a great season of television, because even though it doesn't have episodes, like I think the future seasons have episodes that are like clearly incredible and clearly bad. This season doesn't have that. I think all the episodes are consistent, and you're watching them, every single one of them is really enjoyable. So when you get to the finale, it just pays off really satisfyingly, where we have 11 that disappears, but you find Will, and everything we've been building up to just satisfyingly ends. But you can also continue the story from there. So when you do see seasons 2, 3, and 4, it is really enjoyable and satisfying. And going back to this season after watching season 4, volume 1, a lot of things actually made a lot more sense to me, and I actually like this season even more because of that reason. But at first place for me, it's gotta be season 4, the latest season of Stranger Things. I think, personally, this is the best season that this show has ever had. Now, I don't think it's perfect like season 1 is, and what I mean by that is I do have more issues with this season than I do with season 1. Season 1, I think, is pretty much flawless. So, when I watch season 1, I don't have any major gripes with it, which is why I said it's a perfect season. But this season, I do have some minor issues with it. But why I think it's higher than season 1 is that as an overall experience, as an overall show, I think the positives here are so high that I just cannot put it under season 1. Because even though it has more issues, I also think it has more positives, which is why to me, this is my favorite season of Stranger Things. This is the season of the show that just feels grand and epic. And even though in season 3, it does feel epic, everything is cranked up to 11, like I said in season 3, here it's just even more. Everything is just grand and epic. You have so much stuff happening in the Upside Down, which is just insane. And this is the most time we ever spend in the Upside Down, which I think was actually really great and a really good idea, because in all the previous seasons, we have creatures coming from the Upside Down, but we never go into the Upside Down. We never see how that's like, but we do this season, and I love that about it. We have some really great characters like Eddie, who's a really great new character, and one of my favorite characters on the show as far as one of the new characters goes. And even a character like Max, who's not as great in the previous seasons. She's really good, but she's not like one of the best characters. In this season, she gets a lot more a lot more screen time, a lot more of a story. So when you watch her, when you get to that scene in episode 4 where she's running from Vecna and running up the hills, playing in the background, it's just really satisfying. And it's probably the most emotional season as well, because a lot of really sad things happen. And I think just overall, this season just provided me with a really great experience. And episode 7 of this season, I think, is the best episode I've ever seen in Stranger Things, and just one of the best episodes of a TV show in general. And as great as I think the final 2 episodes are, episode 7 is just so satisfying. Episode 7 just ties everything back to season 1 really well. And the reveal with Vecna, that he's Henry Creel, that he's one, is just awesome. And even though it got spoiled for me, I think the whole Vecna reveal, the fact that this guy that's helping Eleven the entire time, it got spoiled for me that he was Vecna. But you still have 2 other twists on top of that, the fact that he's one and the fact that he's Henry Creel. So because of that, even if something got spoiled for you, there's 2 other twists, a twist on top of a twist on top of a twist. So when you get to that final, episode 7, it's just really satisfying to learn that this guy has been controlling everything all along. And I love that about this season. And like I said, the final 2 episodes are also really great. When you get to volume 2, everything just satisfyingly pays off really well. And even though the finale, I don't love the finale as much as everyone else, but when I did rewatch the finale, I did like it a lot more. I did have issues with it at the beginning. Like, I'm not a fan of the way Max comes back to life, pretty much. Now, she doesn't have her memories and all that, so I guess she's not really back to life as a character, but I do think just bringing characters back to life, that just never works for me. So when it happened in the show, I wasn't a big fan of it. And even like the body count wise, like the creators of the show said that there's a lot more people that are going to die, but really there's not that many people that die. But I think overall I can forgive those issues, because as a whole, the finale does pay off really well. And I also love the way that it ends with a cliffhanger. It doesn't end like all the other seasons with a happy ending, because all the other seasons, if the show ended there, it would have been perfectly fine. Like at the end of season 1, if the show ended there, I would have been fine with it. At the end of season 2, if it ended there, I would have been fine with it. Same with season 3. But this season, if it ends here, oh my god, people would go crazy, because you really want to see where this goes in season 5. So I'm really, really excited for season 5. And I think this season did a great job of ending with a cliffhanger that is just really awesome. And I like the fact that you actually had Vecna win at the end of the season, even though he did kind of lose and our heroes did kind of win. At the end of the day, he still won. The part of the world did turn into the Upside Down, and because of that, I'm really excited to see where this goes. Now, to me, it is basically a tie between season 1 and 4, because I do have less issues with season 1, and season 4 does have more issues in my opinion. But I think overall, as an overall experience, season 4 provided me the best experience, because you had a story that built up, that was epic, that was grand in scale, and when you get to the finale, it just pays off so satisfyingly. It is absolutely incredible what this season was able to do. So even though I do have less issues with season 1, I think that the epic nature of everything just bumps it up for me. So season 4 is my favorite season of Stranger Things. In my review, I gave this season an A, just because I wasn't a big fan of the ending. I didn't think the ending was perfect. But after rewatching it, I did like the ending a lot more, because like I didn't know that Max was going to die and come back the first time. But on rewatch, because I knew that, I was able to put that aside and look at the rest of the ending, which I think is absolutely incredible. So I gave it an A at the end of the show. But after rewatching it, I think I might actually bump it up to an A+. I really love this season, and it's definitely one of the best seasons of television I've seen in a very long time. And to me, it is my personal favorite season of Stranger Things. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments, how would you rank the seasons of Stranger Things so far? If you enjoyed my ranking, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos, content like this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.